Assalamualaikum everybody, I'm Sharmina and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm making sweet jarda. So if you'd like to know how I make it, please keep watching. Here we have 1 cup of uncooked rice. Basmati is the rice you'd like to use. It's best because of the how the texture is. It's nice and the grains are nice and long, and even the fragrance is much nicer. Even if you don't add anything, basmati usually has this nice fragrance. But what I'm using right here is called chini gura in my language, but I'm not sure what it is in English. So the bag that I buy usually for this grain is super small. You see how small they are? It's called chashi. It's from Bangladesh. So that's the rice I use. But then you don't have to use this one. You can use any basmati of your choice. Go ahead and soak the rice, uncooked rice, in some water. Wash it properly if you'd like, or just leave it as is, just for a couple of minutes, not too long. Once the rice have soaked in water for a couple of minutes, drain the water. Try to get all the water out and just leave it aside so we can take care of the rest. Start warming up a pot and add 2 teaspoons of ghee. Now, if you don't like the taste of ghee, or if you think it's just too rich and you don't want it too rich, go ahead and use regular oil like vegetable oil, or you can just use butter. Anything of your choice. But in this case today, I'm going to use 2 teaspoons of ghee. Now that the oil is heated, go ahead and add your washed rice. Fry your rice in the ghee for a little bit. So the rice starts to give out a nutty flavor, and also the fragrance of the rice comes out a little bit before you add anything else. Now that the rice been fried a little bit, you will see it starts to get stuck on the bottom. It's ready for a few other ingredients to be added. I'm going to go ahead and add a pinch of orange food color. A lot of you might prefer to use saffron. I do have saffron, but I'm not going to use it. A couple of reasons: because saffron has its own distinct taste, and I've never used saffron for jarda before, so I'm not sure if it's going to give me the color that I want. So I'm going to go ahead and use this food color. You can find them in any Indian, Pakistani, Bangladeshi stores. Just take a pinch. You can use your fingers, or you can just use the butt of a spoon. So like this, like so, if you can see it, and just sprinkle it on the rice. Might not seem like a lot, but it will end up being a lot. And of course you can adjust accordingly later on. Mix it really well. Rice and the food color is mixed all together. I know it doesn't look like much of a color at this point, but trust me, it will get brighter. If you feel like you can add more color, at this point add 2 cups of water. Add 2 cups of water, but just like you cook regular rice, go ahead and just add 2 cups, and then later on, if you feel like your rice is not cooked well, nice and soft, add more water, but just a little bit at a time. I'm going to add some mace. We call it Joytri. I'm going to add just a little bit, maybe like this much, or just a little bit more. Let's find a nice little piece over here. Just that. Actually, it fell. There you go. I'm going to add this piece of mace, Joytri, in the water. And then now I'm going to turn the heat up to a little bit higher. and let the rice cook. The rice has been cooking for about 5 to 7 minutes right now. The water had dried up almost. I could have taken the risk and just put on a lid and let it cook very slowly, but I didn't want to do that. So I went ahead and added another 1/4 cup of water. If you want to add less, you can do so. So now I'm letting it cook. Did you see how the color have changed? Looks very different from what it looked like at the beginning, right? So at this point, you can go ahead and put on a lid, but keep an eye on it. So in between, I stirred the rice a couple of more times just to make sure it doesn't get stuck in the bottom, but I believe the rice is cooked right now. Just go ahead and give it a try with the spoon and make sure it's fully cooked before you add the sugar. The rice has to be cooked. I have 1.5 cup of sugar over here. Like I said, make sure the rice is fully cooked, because once you add the sugar, the rice will stop cooking. So you don't want that. You want your rice to be cooked. What's interesting is the color is already as orange as it is, but once you add the sugar, the color of the jarda will get even more vibrant. So let's go ahead and add 1.5 cup of sugar. If you're not comfortable using that much sugar, by all means use less, 1/2 cup, 1 cup, and then once all the sugar is dissolved, give it a try and see if you like the sweet amount. If you need more, just go ahead and put more at that time. Now that the sugar you have added dissolved all the way, go ahead and add 1 small stick of cinnamon. Add 1 cardamom pod. If you can, crack it a little bit and then just add it in there. If you have fresh orange zest, go ahead and maybe scrape some and then put them in there, or peel it and then cut them into tiny pieces and add it there. Or what I do, might sound weird, is I usually dry orange zests. I cut them up and then just dry them and then pop them in a small jar. So I took about 1/2 teaspoon of dried up orange zest. Just go ahead and add them in the mixture of the jarda. Now that I've added everything that I would like to add in my jarda, I'm going to let it cook for a little bit longer. I know it still looks extremely liquidy, but that is okay. By the time it's all said and done, the sugar will have dissolved a little bit more. At this point is when you would like to add dried fruits, if you like, more about like dried pineapple or raisins maybe, or any of those, maybe nuts, any chopped up nuts. If you'd like to, you can add those over here. Jarda is ready. This is what it looks like. If you did not add any dried fruit or crushed nuts into the jarda while you're cooking it towards the end, you can at this point sprinkle some on top, just so that your eyes can eat first. The looks matter. And that is it. So also use some fork if you want to just loosen all the rice and separate them. I also, when I was plating them, I took out the dried ingredients like the mace and the cardamom and the cinnamon and took them out. And this is just with the rice, and there is the orange peel still in it. And this is what the final product looks like. I have plated some jarda for myself, so I'm going to give it a try right now. If I may say, this is excellent. Although, my suggestion, if you don't like your sweets to be too sweet or your jarda to be too sweet, I'd recommend you start with just 1 cup of sugar, even less, and then later on, once you've tried it, add another half cup or a quarter cup, so you know, adjust to your taste. I already knew how much sugar I want to put, so I put that much, but I would recommend you start off with just a cup or even less. Start with half a cup, add half a cup, mix it up, try it a little bit, and then if it's not as much as you wanted, add a little bit more, you know. But for me, I added 1.5 cups of sugar. Inshallah, you'll like this recipe and you will try it. Please do let me know.